Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is a special video because this is us starting a new show, which is
Yeah, because we don't watch enough TV.
because we finished. Well, to be fair, we'll do it because it's summer and things are dying down, and that's why we have a bit of time. And we thought we'll do another short Already Cancelled, kind of like how we did Twin Peaks, which is technically still going on, but it's the new season, so it's not already anymore. The legacy seasons have been completed. And this is kind of the replacement for that. And this one's a more recent show. We thought we'd do The Leftovers. And The Leftovers, of course, is a show from Damon Lindelof based on a book. HBO. It literally just had its series finale like last week.
Yeah,
I think it was
like
last week. It was last Sunday.
I mean, at time of recording, it was like what, 3 days ago?
Yes, yes. Yeah. Obviously, it's a much more recent show, and we wanted to do this because we've both seen either parts of all of season one. I've seen the first, I think, 6 or 7 episodes. Connor's seen the whole first season before, back when
Yeah,
it first aired. So it's not fresh in our heads by any means, but and we liked it well enough, but for whatever reason, fell away from it. And the funny thing is that when season two was on, all I heard was praise of how it became one of the best TV shows like on the air.
yeah.
And I've been hearing similar praise for season three, so it seemed like an obvious one to do. It was just the right length. It's 28 episodes for the whole thing. We're gonna go two a week.
Fits nicely into the exact amount of time we had scheduled for summer.
Yeah, going two a week. 14 weeks, nice and done. It'll be early mid September, depending on whether you're watching publicly on YouTube or if you're getting that a week early on Patreon. But no, so here we are. So we're going to talk about leftovers. Obviously, the episodes typically will do spoilers for each episode as we go. I think for this one, I don't want to do a spoiler-free section per se. Um, this was kind of it. It was the explanation of why we're watching it. It's the spoiler-free section.
Yeah, obviously the fact that we'd both seen at least some, if not all, of season one before and still decided to do this is clearly indication enough that we liked it enough.
Do you know the funny thing is? I think before we get into actual spoilers, like I said, I'll give you a warning before we're about to actually dive into plot. But I think what kept me watching back when it aired was the music.
Oh yeah, Max Richter is a phenomenal
The
post-minimalist
music
composer.
is so good. Like I
Oh,
every
absolutely.
time it started up, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
Like this is
He's a
weird. I don't understand half the things that are happening, but the music is doing it for me. I'm
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah,
So
I still listen to it on a regular basis, like
I th- I, th-
even now.
I think I'm going to have to seek it out. Because I forgot as soon as it started playing for the first time, the piano came in. I was like, oh, I remember this.
So
Oh.
good.
So yeah. So obviously this is going to be season one, episode one, the pilot. Obviously, I usually say that right at the start, but I wanted to build up what we were doing first. So yeah, the pilot. We're going to talk about that. So full spoilers for the episode as always, and hopefully you watch along with us if you've not seen it before. So yeah, and even though we've seen a little bit ahead technically, if we do remember anything post this episode, we're not going to talk about it here. There's no spoilers for later episodes. We're always only in spoilers for the episode we're talking about, and obviously everything up until that point. But
Yes.
given this is episode one,
It's just this one.
it's just this one. But yeah, so let's get into it. So the plot of The Leftovers is that on October 14th, I remembered that date. I'm impressed with myself. 2000. Oh, I don't know what year it was. I assume 2011 since this came out in 2014.
Yeah, so that was the assumption I was going to
Yeah,
make.
yeah, because they said it was 3 years ago. But yeah, so on October 14th, 2% of the Earth's population vanished
Yeah,
with no explanation, no scientific reasoning, no warning, no sort of even post kind of thing. Just they vanished, and it's kind of shown in this opening scene because we get a scene on the day with this mother with her baby at the laundrette, and the baby's in the back seat in the car seat, and it just stops crying, and she turns around and it's not there, and it was so quick that it's not like someone could have just taken him or anything like that.
yeah. It's like you look out because obviously the window was open, and she looks up just to be sure,
Yeah, but
but
I almost wish the window was higher up, just so it just
it
physically
couldn't have
couldn't.
done.
Yeah, like it would
Yeah,
just make it clear right at the start. But then she gets outside. There's a kid crying for his dad. Where's his dad? And you see the shopping trolley just rolling, which is the
yeah.
perfect kind of thing.
I think it's really well directed as well. This opening at the very least because you don't see anyone disappear. You just feel their absence.
I think that works. But I mean, again, I'm saying this without having seen the rest of the show. But as I understand it, I don't think they ever intend to fully answer
No, they
why.
they they said I remember reading as the show premiered because I was obviously watching it at the time. And they said straight up, we are never going to explain this. The show is not about that. It's called The Leftovers because we want to see the impact and, you know, the society and how people deal with it after. The where they went, it doesn't matter to us.
That's not why they said that. They said that because Damon Lindelof did Lost, and he got a lot
Yeah,
of flack for the ending.
I know that.
That's why he made that statement when the show started. He was
I'm
making it very
aware
clear.
of that.
Cards are on the table. Don't come back at me when we finish the show and complain. I'm telling you right now, I'm never answering that question.
No, I agree, but I think it was a good thing to say that because it puts you in the mindset. You're not constantly questioning and trying to figure it out. You just accept it doesn't matter.
And I think what I like about the way the scene's directed, like you say, you never see anyone disappear. It's they're just gone off camera, and then it's like, oh wait, you see the effects of it. You see the car crashing because obviously someone who was driving disappeared and the car hit something. I like that because it is indicative of what the show's focus is. It's like, we're not going to show you people magically puff into smoke. That's not what it is. It's not cheap science fiction tricks. It's none of that. It's tasteful and elegant. It just happens off camera. They just look back and they're not there.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I mean, as someone who's a fan of Lost, as someone who wanted to watch this because I'm a fan of Lost, and not because I was expecting answers, not because one day we may do a Lost thing. I kind of hope we do. One day I'm hoping, because Connor's not seen it, but he knows enough spoilers that he doesn't want to do it right now. I'm hoping one day I'll convince him to do an already cancelled on Lost. And hopefully if we hit that goal on Patreon where you get to vote, I'll make sure it's in the polls, don't you worry. But like I don't need answers for everything, and I think here it's all about how you're telling your story, and if the story's been told with never the hint that we're going to
it never
answer
teases that you're going to know, so it's just not a concern, is it?
Yeah. I mean, they set it up clear in this episode that no one knows. Like they have it's like a hearing on TV, and the scientists are like, "Yeah, we just don't know."
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it makes sense for them to wonder, but we don't need to focus on it. We just need to focus on the leftovers. We need to focus on who was left behind and how it's affected them.
Yeah, I like how it cuts to 3 years ahead to at present day for the show, and I like that we hear on the radio, and I like that the anniversary is about to hit, and that's why people are talking about it again.
Yeah, there's a good reason for it.
But he's like, the guy in the radio is giving like numbers. He's like, 1.3 million from Germany. And he's listing basically how many left from each country, and he's like, yeah, the chances of you actually losing someone in your immediate family were pretty small.
Yeah, like I says, 2% isn't that much in reality.
I mean, it's enough that everyone probably knows someone, at least tangentially, but not enough that it's not enough to cripple society. It's like there's still enough doctors left. There's still enough.
Yeah, like, as they point out here, like a bad epidemic of a disease can wipe out more than that quite easily.
Yeah, so it's not enough to completely cripple like functioning society, but it's enough that obviously everyone's affected. Yeah. So no, I like that, and obviously we open with Kevin, Justin Theroux's character, who I know purely as the director from Mulholland Drive, not the director of Mulholland Drive, not to be confused.
Wasn't he in Parks and Rec? I feel like I remember his face in that.
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember him being in Parks and Rec. Not in a regular role, certainly. Maybe he guested.
Maybe guested. I think like for a few episodes at least.
As who though?
I don't remember. I just remember his face being in it when I watched this originally. I was like, because I watched Parks and Rec. I was catching up around the same time.
Okay.
As I was watching this, and I remember going, he was in that. I don't remember now though.
I'm not gonna doubt you. Like I don't remember everyone who's in Parks and Rec, but
yeah.
It couldn't have been a big character because I feel like
no. I mentioned that because obviously I know you've seen that quite a lot.
Yeah. So he runs into this dog, and the dog gets shot by this bald guy with a sniper rifle. And obviously it's a very emotional moment because the dog seems quite friendly. He's like, "Here, come on, boy," and he's coming up to him. And he's quite close to him when the dog gets hit. Like, he gets a bit of blood splatter on his face. And
it's this shocking moment because much like the character, we don't see the gunshot happen. We just hear it and see the dog drop. So we kind of in the mindset.
Yeah, we see the effect of it afterwards. Which I guess, so at least so far, is a big storytelling technique of this show, is that things happen and then we see the reaction to it to tell us what happened, or at least get a sense of it. And that happens a few times, actually. I can think of at least another one off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll think of more as we talk about it.
Yeah.
I will say, from memory, I did remember and I remember being impressed by this at the time. But like, do you know how like all the characters we're introduced to end up being all part of the same family?
Yeah.
For the most part, the four main ones. Um, I remembered that quite quickly. Like I immediately remembered. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the women in
Yeah,
the
it's a family drama
yeah
basically.
yeah the women in the GRs, the wife and
Yeah.
so on. It's still well done though, even knowing it. In fact,
I love how it plays that because obviously the implication before it tells you that
yeah,
she's the wife, the implication is that she vanished, like
yeah,
she was
because
part of the 2%.
at the school, yeah, the gym teacher says, "Oh, I know it's been hard since your mother left," and it implies, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and there's that great moment where Kevin's walking up the stairs and he punches or elbows the photo where she was,
and you
and
can't see the face,
yeah, like at the time it's like, oh, he's angry that she's gone, but then and then
but
it
it works
comes
so
out.
well because throughout the whole episode, he has this beef with the GR.
Yeah,
And and it all adds up when he goes to them at the end and he's like, I'm trying to speak to my wife. That you actually completely get it. It wasn't the event that took her from him. It was
it was
them.
this, yeah, which again
Yeah.
it was a symptom of the event.
Yeah, sure, yeah, but it was them specifically. He's got something to direct his anger at, whereas a lot of people
Oh,
don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you know what I'd forgotten, but I remembered it just before it happened, and I started having a fit of laughter. And I remember talking about this after the first episode aired, way back in 2014. So he's in the bar near the end of the episode, and it comes on the screen, in memory of those who vanished on the day, and it's I think Jennifer Lopez is one, and
Yeah, I know where you get with
there was
this.
another Shaq was one, right? And then Gary Busey's face comes up on the screen, and that broke me, and I started laughing really hard because I remembered it,
It's
and I was really laughing. And Joe, what's really funny? I remember the first time I watched it already laughing at that point, and
But
then
then
the
the
bartender
bartender.
brings it up. He's like, I get the Pope getting taken, but how did Gary Busey make the cut? And I started laughing. I was laughing on top of laughing because I was laughing at the joke itself, and then I was laughing because I remember laughing a second time the first time I watched it. So
it's still good. It's still great, in fact.
Gary Busey.
Do you know what? There is something about his face though that just makes you laugh anyway when it comes
Yes,
up in a serious thing.
I love Gary Busey. Not necessarily as a person. I don't dislike him as a person either, but just the myth of Gary Busey
It is.
fascinates me.
It's just phenomenal.
And I I'm a fan of the movies. He was in like he's in Under Siege. He's in Predator 2. He's in a bunch of stuff. Actually, I watched a lower budget action movie from that time period not that long ago, and he was the hero, and that was really weird because he's always the villain.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, that was really weird, but yeah, that was a thing. So I skipped ahead to Gary. I had to talk about Gary Busey. I was too excited to talk about the Gary Busey scene.
Priorities.
Priorities. So yeah, so that was. I think rather than go and try to go through an order, we'll sort of just take each family member and kind of
Yeah.
talk about them and sort of how they fit to the overall thing. So obviously Kevin's the police chief
Yes.
of the town. He's dealing with the cop. He's dealing with the fact that his wife's gone. He's trying to keep his teenage daughter in line, Jill, who we'll talk about in a bit.
And we learn that his father as well was chief before, but
Was
he
chief.
he went a bit crazy.
Yeah, there's a technique they use in this first episode at the very least where they'll say, like, someone will ask a question about why something happened, or they'll think of a memory, and it'll cut to like the real truth of the incident for like just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's very frantic, these shots that these almost flashbacks.
And this happened with this scene because it cut to his dad running naked through someone's like back garden. It was really really creepy. It was almost David Lynch, and I'm not just saying that because I'm watching Twin Peaks right now. But
No, I know what you mean. It's the way it cuts to this. It's that the cameras are all funny, and it's just the real unfiltered event versus what people say.
oh, the weirdest scene in the episode is by far the choking scene. We'll get to that when we get to it, but. So we see him go to this meeting that they're talking about, this parade they're going to have for Heroes Day, which is the Remembrance Day for this event that they're going to have on the same day, which is the next day. And we see he's worried about the GR, he's worried about them showing up because they always show up, and he's going through all this and he keeps struggling with that. And it's funny because the rest of his plot kind of just ties into other things that are happening, because obviously the guy with the dogs comes back into it because he's trying to look for him. He's got the dead dog in his trunk, and that's the thing. But like everything else, it sort of feeds off the plot that's happening with Chill, and then it's happening with the GR, because when the GR do show up at the parade, like it's a whole big thing, and it does get violent. because obviously these people are all grieving and they came out. So I think we'll talk about the GR because they affect so much of what goes on in this episode.
I mean, right from the introduction, you get how strange they are. They're all sitting around in white. They're all smoking.
Yeah,
Obviously, they don't speak, but you see they have like a scheduled whiteboard, like a timetable of what the day's events are. I don't know if you caught this. Instead of saying, breakfast, dinner, it just says sustenance. Like that really summed it up for me. Like they don't even think about food anymore. It's just this is what we need.
I never noticed that on the board, but that ties in with the fact that they're just eating this slop. Like it's a spoonful of slop. It's like it's not even have fun, enjoy your breakfast. No, just shovel your slop into your face because that's all you need. So they're basically a cult, for lack of a better
they
word. And we see them do a lot of weird things throughout the episode. They basically stalk people, and not only do they stalk people, they make a clear, conscious choice about who they're stalking. Like we see them pass out like files and documents, and like, okay, we're going after her, and that's when they sort of lead to Liv Tyler's character, and the main character in the GR, who's Laurie, who's Kevin's wife. That we find out later in the episode. She's with the other woman whose name I don't quite have yet. I'm sure I'll learn it soon enough. But
the problem with them is they don't say their names very often because
no, they don't, because they're all
they
silent.
Don't speak.
But her and the woman in the glasses, they basically start watching her with her fiancé. They're watching her as she's getting in the car. They go to the restaurant where they're eating, and she watches them. And then they're back at her house, and that's when Liv Tyler's character Meg gets so upset that she ends up punching one of them in the face.
As you do.
And the thing about Liv Tyler's character as well is that she is out of it the entire the episode. You can see she's not happy. She's like bewildered. Yeah. She's never there while the boyfriends try to talk to her. She's just kind of in her own little world. She's kind of distant and detached, and you can see she's kind of empty.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting as well that she feels like the loose link at the minute, in the sense that she's not one of the family.
Yeah.
Like she's the only one that we have like a real focus on that isn't part of this family at the moment.
Yeah, but even her to an extent, we get to her through Laurie.
We do get through there, yeah.
So at least from the starting point, I think we do start with the family, and I think because I know Christopher Eccleston's character becomes kind of a main character, as does Nora, Carrie Coon's character, who we only meet briefly in this episode, which is funny because I remembered her being a big thing in the season. Like I've seen her a lot, and I didn't even remember being in the first episode until we get to the parade, and she stands up and she's like sort of the guest of honor because she was unlucky enough to lose her entire family. Like her husband and all of her kids all went on the day, so she's this kind of like tragic victim, and she's up there trying to give a speech, which is when the GR show up. With a sign that just says, each person holding one letter says, "You're wasting your breath."
It says, "Stop wasting your breath."
Stop wasting your breath. Yeah. And obviously that pisses people off, and we get a confrontation. I think one of the things we talk about a lot when we're doing shows, especially shows that have got a bit more weight to them, like Saul, like anything like that, we talk a lot about character motivations. We talk a lot about what's driving the characters, and obviously we have the big glaring like, all these people vanished, and that's what's driving all the characters. But I feel like right now, because we're just learning about how this world post Leftover works, it's actually hard to like quite nail things yet.
Yeah, I think that's it. The mystery isn't what happened; it's why are people doing this? Why did they choose this?
Yeah, why are the GR doing this? Yeah, why does Meg eventually show up and ask for like?
Yeah. What is it that she sees in them that makes her associate herself to them?
And how do they pick their targets? Like, because they've always targeted her, thinking she's a potential member.
Recruit, yeah.
Yeah, and so how did that process go? Because honestly, it's kind of hard to sympathise a little bit when it does feel like, they are kind of stalking her to the point where she snaps and has to punch one of them.
Yeah, it feels like they just push her till she breaks, and then it's kind of almost like emotional abuse. Like if you just push her, she'll snap, and that's when she's at her weakest, that's when we take her.
And I think you get frustrated. I think it's the same as well with Kevin when he's at the bar after that bar scene, and he sees the guy with the truck again who shot the dog. he gets so pissed off, and he drops his gun when he goes to pull it out. Which you just don't handle firearms when you're drunk. That's not shouldn't be doing it.
You shouldn't.
It's the same rule as driving. Just don't do it. But he drives up to this because we found out earlier in the episode that they basically this cult, the GR, bought the whole street or the whole cul-de-sac, and they own all these houses that are like next to each other. And he goes up and he's like, point me to which one they are. Which one's Laurie in, and that's when he goes up and confronts her. But one they have like a sort of bodyguard type guy, and again, all dressed in white. You can tell they're all who they are from their clothing, and he like tries to stop him, and it's really frustrating because you feel like you're just making up your own rules. So as much as he does overdo it a little bit, you kind of like punch him, Kevin.
Yeah. It's strange
him.
because he's making up his rules, but at the same time he would be trespassing it, like because he just wants to storm into the house, so it's trespassing. So that's still wrong, but you still want him to punch this dick in the face.
You do want him to punch this dick.
I don't even know that he's a dick, but he just looks like one when he's dressed in that white stood there.
I think the fact that they keep staring, I think the fact that they are making up these own rules, I think this show does a really good job of putting us in the same place that a lot of the other characters are feeling about the GR, and that we kind of resent them because we don't understand them.
Yeah, we get frustrated at them, but they know as little about them as we do, really. They know who they are. Like I think it was the mayor says, we know who they used to be.
Yeah.
But we don't know anything about them now.
But it's really frustrating, and especially when he calls her wife. I'm trying to talk to my wife, and he's trying desperately to talk to her, and it's not like because typically when you see a scene like this where the drunk husband comes up to like some house where the wife stays, it's usually because she's ran because she was being abused or it was a shitty relationship or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's usually the guy's usually in the wrong and he's drunkenly begging forgiveness or something. But we've already seen how they recruit. At this point, we've already seen how they function, and you get the sense that two people stared at her until she gave in, and then she joined them, and you do feel like they took her from him, so it's hard to sympathise with them more than him in this case right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Not that he's like a poster boy by any means. He's drinking a lot. He's arguing with his daughter.
Yeah, and we get that scene where when he's asked where was he when it happened, and he was obviously he was cheating on her. So
Yeah. Nah. So cool. He's no angel by any means, but like, you sympathise him with more in this scene than you do them, because they are a bit of an enigma at this point. But no, so that's that. Which leads to the end of the episode, of course, when he's back outside and he ends up he runs into they didn't run into it, but he sees a deer on the road and he stops and he gets out.
Yeah,
and then the pack of wild dogs, and we heard there was allusions to this earlier on because when the teenagers were talking, there was rumours there's a myth of like feral dogs in the woods who all went mad because they witnessed someone disappear.
Yeah,
which is an interesting idea in and of itself.
It is, and they talk about how the dogs, they just snap because they know there's no point in fighting it because they're just more simplistic. But eventually, our society's going to go the same way.
Yeah. I guess that's largely what the show's going to be about, is like, can they overcome this? Can they learn to live with what happened?
I think it's very interesting that I think there's a running theme in this episode with Kevin's character always being late to events. And this is kind of the same here, where it's like the human race, the society, we're just late getting to the point where we snap.
Yeah. And so the pack of dogs run in, they attack the deer, they're biting it, eating it even. And the bald guy with the gun shows up, and he's like, "You said they're our dogs, but they're not our dogs anymore." And he goes to now. You still feel pissed at him for the dog at the start, because the dog at the start didn't seem feral. There was no evidence.
It didn't, but
yeah.
But we are told that it was been gone for the 3 years. It's been out on the streets.
But we were told that. It's still hard.
It didn't seem it, but then we were maybe reconsidering.
I'm not reconsidering. He's still a dick for shooting that dog. These dogs, not so much. These dogs at the end, when he gets Kevin to join in and shoot the dogs.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad about it, because they clearly are.
I mean, I think the implication is that first dog was part of this pack still, but it just wasn't feral at that time. It wasn't doing anything at that moment.
Sure, but that, as far as I'm concerned as a viewer, that's just you assuming he's guilty.
Yeah.
That's not how justice works. I need to see it.
It's not, although, does the human justice system apply to dogs?
Yeah, you don't just shoot a dog because you think he's feral.
I mean, they can do. It's that. I mean, I'm not saying that it's right or not. I'm just saying that that is often what happens. If they think that something, might be wrong.
The guy just sees him on the street. It's not like he has a proper intimate moment with it, or like a chance to really witness
He
what it's
might have
doing.
been tracking these dogs. I assume he has been tracking these dogs, given that he seems to be following them around.
You're just being heartless. That's all this is.
I know.
You're just a heartless ginger. That's all it is. All right. So that was Kevin's thing. Jill, on the other hand, we see she's been kind of again, kind of like Liv Tyler's character, a little bit distant, maybe more of an attitude rather than being quiet, admittedly. To the point where our friend Amy's even pointing out how much of an attitude she's got, which is funny because it almost sounds like she's agreeing with the teacher and her dad at times. It's like, yeah, I know she's got an attitude problem.
Yeah, I really like the friend actually. She really seems to be this anchor for the family in general.
It is interesting. Although she totally wants to bang Kevin.
Oh, obviously
Like-
that scene with her, after they're having dinner, and
Yeah.
definitely.
I just get that vibe from her. She wants the dad fantasy, the best friend's dad.
Absolutely.
She's clearly wanting that. That's all I could get from her during that scene. So they go to a part. Well, first of all, there's a couple of scenes that show how different she is, because there's a scene in the classroom when they're going through their morning routine of pledging allegiance, and then there's some extra stuff in this world because of what's happened. Some people are being religious, some people aren't.
Yeah, it gives them like the option to pray for those who went.
And the boy that Jill likes sort of turns to her and just does a little head to the gun to the head kind of thing to say, oh, this is boring, isn't it? And then she does this elaborate thing where she puts her head in like a fake noose and is like, ugh. And then he gets like, well, that was weird, and he turns around and then she feels embarrassed, and I'm like, call me crazy, but
It was just the same as what you did, but
Yeah.
just with a different method.
I'll be honest, I appreciate a girl who'll put the effort into miming a death.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Though, but he mimed a death at her, and she was. This was basically her agreeing.
I guess the gun to the head symbol is an accepted common gesture, whereas the putting your head in then just feels a bit more dark. I'm okay with that. I've got a dark sense of humour though, but if anything, that would escalate it for me, and I would respond with something even worse.
Yeah. But where'd you go from there?
I'd probably continue the gun. I'd do the shotgun in the mouth and then have my head go back.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or I don't know. Just
But do you really want to reuse guns? That just feels lazy.
All right, I'll snap my neck, or I'll.
Yeah.
I don't know. How many deaths can you mime?
Look, I'm just saying, if you're in this situation and you want to escalate with this girl, you got to think faster than that.
All right, I'd pretend I'm putting like a blade sticking up on the desk and then ram my head into it.
That's good. That's not bad.
Yeah, get darker, escalate,
Yeah.
build.
Get a pencil and actually put it to the side,
Ah,
so that when you go down, it looks like it goes in. So you do.
basically Joker yourself from Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't actually do it.
I don't actually, obviously. I got glasses on though, so I mean, I have a
A
just
little
in
bit of
case,
protection,
just
yeah.
in case I miss. We also see that she gets frustrated because a girl knocks her down when she's playing hockey, and then she proper elbows her in the face. And we see she's going through a lot because when she's talking to the gym teacher, and she's like, "Oh, I'm only going to let you on that field if you promise me nothing like that's going to happen again." She's like, "Yeah, it won't happen again as long as that." And she drops a C-bomb.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't. As long as she stays away from me.
Yeah, and obviously we get that isn't normal for her, because Amy is like, hey, really, since when do you say that?
Which works because if the teacher said that, it's not normal. Oh, that's not like you. We wouldn't really buy it. We just assume that she doesn't do it to them. Whereas have our friend saying it to her.
Yeah. This
works
clearly
more.
a best friend who's there all the time.
Yeah.
Like we see her, like she literally comes round for dinner.
Yeah.
Like presumably a lot. She's clearly close, and
So-
if she thinks it's out of the ordinary,
So
then
much
it definitely
so
is.
that both Jill and her dad are both happy to argue in front of her. Like, they don't even feel awkward about it.
She's,
They just
she's
will argue.
basically part of the family.
So I want to talk about this stupid game they play. So the kids all go to a party, right? And they convince her dad to let her borrow the car.
I want to say it's not a party. I mean, when you get those first cuts, so she's like, "Oh, I don't drink," and then you get cuts to the party and you see it, and it's like half-naked people, drugs everywhere. It's like, this isn't a party. This is an orgy.
I think maybe what that's saying is that like high school parties typically have some stuff going on, but this is like no. After this, like everyone stopped because that's a
Yeah.
general feeling I get throughout the episode is that a lot of people just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's very lethargic.
Yeah, you
It's
get this
like,
feeling that they're just saying,
why bother?
well, screw it, let's just do what we want. You know,
Which kind of seems to be, what the Guilty Remnants thing is. It's like,
yeah.
why are you bothering? That's what it says, stop wasting your breath. Why bother? It's happened.
They're definitely taking it more seriously though, and they've given themselves a mantra almost. Like they've got like a formal like this is who we are and what we do thing. Now, not everyone's like that, of course. There's definitely we see other types of people who have reacted differently and kind of things. But certainly there seems to be the younger generation are acting like this, where they're just going this. And I want to talk about the stupid game they're playing. They're basically playing spin the bottle with a phone, but it's like an app that not only like when you spin it, not only does it land in someone, it also randomly selects what you're going to do to that. So it's not just kissing.
Yeah. It starts with hug.
Yeah,
I was like,
and you think,
okay.
okay, this is an instant party game. Obviously, kiss will be there, but you'll have hug, maybe you'll have handshake, maybe you'll have some other fun little things. Second person, sex, and
Yeah.
it's Amy. It's the guy. It's the guy Jill likes, and Amy's like, I don't have to do this, you know. It's like it's fine, just go do it. I'm like, who plays a game where you're just going to have to? Look, fair enough. If you're actually at an orgy or you're like a swinger, okay, sure enough. I can see them playing a game like this because that's what they're there for. But for most normal people, you don't just let a phone dictate who you're going to have sex with.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when it's your best friend's crush, and you're like, I don't have to do it. And then later on, we see
And then
them.
she's like, but I do want to.
Yeah, and then later on, you see them, and he's like eating her out. It's just like, all right, best friend.
Yeah.
And speaking of, so it gets spun again. Jill herself spins it, and it lands in this stupid guy with a hat, and and it says
His name
choke.
is Max.
His name is Max. It said choke, and I'm like, choke? Is that a euphemism for something else? And that's what I was thinking at the time.
Really?
Especially since they went into because you've had choke the chicken, and that's the thing.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it never crossed my mind that it was. I thought it was just, I get what this is.
Well, see, I actually wrote it off. No, it's probably just literally choking. But then they went into a room and was like, okay, they're getting privacy, and then immediately they both started taking their clothes off. Like her as well. It wasn't just. It's not like he's just eager and thinking, oh, this is going to be dirty. I'm going to take my clothes off. She takes her clothes off, so they're both in their underwear. And then they have a kind of weird moment. He tries to talk to her and be kind of nice. He's like, oh, how you doing with your mom? And she does. Obviously, she's not comfortable talking about it, and he apologizes. And they're lying in the bed, and he just turns to her and says, "Do you mind if I jack off?" And she's like, "Yeah, let yourself out." And so you're going to choke me then? And she literally just puts her arm across and puts her hand around his neck, and he just we get a nice long shot of him just chugging away under his boxers as she's got her hand around his throat. There is so much about this image that tells you the state of the world that I can't even begin to describe it.
Yeah, and then obviously you get that one where you see the tear coming down her face.
Yeah.
And it just really sums it up, doesn't it?
Just how distant everyone's just sort of doing things without any feeling. Like, call me crazy, but if a girl's going to choke me while I jack off, I want to know she means it.
That's fair.
Not that I have a particular interest in this. Like, I was the thing that gets me as well. She puts her hand around his throat, and he immediately goes, "Oh yeah, that's the stuff."
Yeah, he's clearly into this.
It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why did she take her clothes off? What was she expecting to have to do?
I don't know.
I don't get it. It's so weird. But I'll give him credit. He's going for it. He's not shy. He's like, no.
He's making the most of his opportunity.
I'm going to enjoy this choking.
Yeah.
And then she sees Amy doing it with the guy, and she goes outside and she runs into those other guys that she briefly met earlier. And she goes to help them with their keys. She goes into her dad's trunk to get a flashlight, and sure enough, there's the dead dog. And the kids take it upon themselves to go and bury the dog. And that's where
nice of them.
That's where we hear about the feral dog myth, and she says it's bullshit, it's not true. But there's this obviously again showing you how lost everyone feels right now, no pun intended because Damon Lindelof. But she apologizes to the dog. I'm sorry you got stuck with us. Like there's this feeling that we're not worth something, and maybe that's the whole idea. Like obviously some people think this was the rapture, and we hear that brought up a couple of times, and obviously some people don't for various reasons. The first being that I think it's one of the firemen say, my brother-in-law went and he was an asshole.
Yeah, and we get more of that when we get to Eccleston's character.
So, but obviously some people feel like it was the rapture and the worldly ones went. So it's like everyone else, like we're all just you were stuck with us, and
I
that's
mean,
kind of
even the Gary Busey thing is the idea that they were worthy. That kind of leads into
yeah.
the whole rapture idea that they were chosen for a reason, although unfathomably why.
I think I know where they all went.
I dread to hear what you're going to say, but go on.
The Black Lodge.
I should have known. I should have known. My mind was still on Gary Busey, and so I wasn't going to.
I'll tell you now. I'm putting money on it. Special Agent Dale Cooper is rolling into the finale. Right?
If that's how this show ends, I don't know if that'll be amazing or awful.
Oh god. So where was I? Jill. Yes.
Jill.
She goes to the parade when she was told not to. And meanwhile, when her dad wakes up actually and he's looking for her, it's like someone broke into the house, but only the kitchen. The kitchen's just a wreck.
It's just completely trashed. Windows smashed.
And he even jokes later on when he sees the deer. He's like, "Did you were you in my house last night? Was it a deer?"
The deer pops up multiple times in the episode. Actually, I don't know if you saw it earlier on.
Go on.
So it wasn't like an actual deer, but it was when he was knocking.
Symbolism of a deer, yeah.
Yeah. But when he was knocking on the door of the woman whose dog it was, she had a big deer in her garden.
Oh, right, okay.
And he's proper fascinated by it. He keeps looking over at it.
Clearly, the deer's symbolic then of something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's innocence.
Yeah. So you think his innocence at the end is being devoured by the feral part of society?
Yeah, that's why I go there. Maybe not just his, but society in general. The idea that we were this, and now we're just this pack of dogs. That's what's taken over.
Yeah,
because
we're snapping. Yeah, this is essentially what we're becoming. Yeah, I can see that. Which sort of ties in the idea that we're building to something, because obviously the Tom plot kind of builds to the idea that something's coming that's going to affect everyone, that we're reaching the boiling point that it's taken 3 years to get to.
Yeah.
But no, so really interesting stuff. So it's funny actually. Also, you get the idea actually when you find out that the mother's in the GR. You get the idea that that's why he didn't want her to go. He didn't want to see her mother.
Yeah.
Like that as one of them. So that's.
So it's nice part that, and obviously part he's just worried about it turning violent and wants to keep her safe.
Oh, sure. But I think it's mainly that, though. I really get that vibe. Yeah, that it's like, maybe she knows where her mother went, but she doesn't really understand who the GR are yet, or, like, you see them sometimes in the street, but maybe she's not seen her mother like that yet.
That would make sense.
It's almost kind of like in some families, like if the mother's say like a junkie, but the dads try to hide it and not let the kids find out, kind of thing.
Yeah, I wonder if the GR, do they actively keep her away? Because obviously they'll know roughly where she'll be. They'll go, all right, school, home, major locations like that. And do they keep Laurie away from there with her watches? Go, right, you're on this other side of town, just so that
potentially, yeah, I could see that.
Or see, do you know what? Or do you put her on the daughter and use her as, because you'd think that would break her easier.
Well, that's assuming they want to just break everyone.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But
I am just assuming that, but I don't. Like I said, we don't know why.
It seems very selective, and are they recognizing that someone's already like partway there, and like this is someone who's clearly feels like they've got no purpose, so we're going to try and give them purpose. In that
sense, I would argue that they should be targeting Jill, because like you mentioned, Jill is very similar to Meg. Like in that she's very distant, she's a bit more aggressive and it has an attitude to it. But in the same way, she feels like she hasn't got a purpose.
It could be an age thing, though. Maybe they out of moral reasons don't do it to anyone who's under 18, kind of thing. Because I don't think we see anyone in the GR who are not adults.
No, we don't. That's right.
So it could just be that. Maybe it's like once she's an adult, maybe they'll target her. But for now, it's kind of thing. So no, so as we mentioned, a couple of new characters, big characters that I know become bigger things in coming episodes. But Nora, of course, we mentioned giving the speech. Also, Christopher Eccleston's priest character. His name's Matt. Yes, he's basically trying to convince everyone that it wasn't the Rapture. Like this person beat up his kids.
Yeah, the Rapture. They were some awful people. Yeah, and we don't get much from him. We get the sense that he knows Kevin.
Yeah, because he says to Kevin, "Tell your dad he's off the hook," and you're off the hook too, by the way. And I have no
Yeah, it
idea what he
seems
means
like
by that.
family,
But
friends.
yeah.
I mean, part of me wants to, because he is like a priest, preacher, whatever he is. He's kind of very much. Maybe he means like you're forgiven in a religious sense.
Oh, maybe.
Like you're off the hook.
It feels more specific to me than that, though.
Yeah, it could well be. He definitely knows them both, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He knows who they are, because even the way that Kevin goes up to him,
Yeah, he's like,
he
come on,
says,
Matt.
he says, "Oh man, you need to do this today." It's like he knows him. He's not pissed at him. But it's like, "Give me a rest today, will you?"
Yeah,
There's a sort of friendly kind of, as friendly as Kevin is. Kevin swears at people a lot, and generally he's
he
kind
does.
of grumpy. Also, a lot of tattoos in his back. I noticed all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonder if we'll get more of a. Not that I'm wanting a Kevin's tattoo episode for Lost fans. You know what I mean by that. Let's not have that. But like
Just more explanation
yeah.
behind why
'Cause
he's chosen those things.
Yeah, it's a full back of tattoos. It feels like a very intentional sort of
Yeah.
thing. So no, it's
Actually, that's a point. Obviously, we briefly see him in that flashback having sex when when it happened. Did he have the tattoos there?
Oh God.
I'm not entirely sure, because if not, I think that's interesting, because that would say to me, whatever these are, there is a result of these events.
See, I was thinking it was to do with his faith before the thing happened. But if you're right that but I actually can't remember. I'd have to go back.
I can't
and check.
remember, yeah, but we'll check for next time.
Yeah, check for later. Yeah. So we meet them. They're obviously going to be big deals. So the one character we've not really touched on yet is Tom. Now, obviously, the wife is the big kind of reveal, because they deliberately mislead us with that. Whereas
Yeah.
Tom, they don't mislead us, but it is kind of a moment where you see the face on the phone saying "Dad," and it's like, oh right.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. You go, that's how this is connected, because
Yeah.
it seems very random at first.
in Jill, even less so, because you don't even get a moment with Jill where it's like, oh, that's her dad, but you just kind of suspect her more than anyone. Oh, that's probably his daughter. It feels likely.
It's you don't get anything. It's just she's at school and then she comes home. It's never
Yeah.
really treated as any sort of reveal.
Yeah. And Tom's not really treated as a huge twist, but there is that little moment with the phone. It's like, oh shit, that's his son.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's
Clever way
obviously-
of telling you though, because it's no need for any exposition really. It's just thing on a screen, you get it,
Yeah.
and it has a beat of a character when he ignores it.
Yeah, and also, even for the other character, even for Kevin, he wants to hear his son's voice, and he keeps not answering, and
Yeah.
he tries to call him a couple of times in the episode, and he doesn't pick up. So Tom is part of another cult, I guess.
Yeah.
He takes a congressman. It's kind of like the last line. The congressman's had to switch cars. He gets in a car with Tom.
Tom.
And he makes him wear a blindfold, and Tom takes him to what was the name, Wayne?
Wayne, yes.
Yeah. So basically, the congressman wants to see this guy Wayne, who is played by the guy who plays Mason on Timeless, which is as soon as I was like, as much as I seen this when it aired, I'd forgotten about him. As soon as he walked out, I was like, oh, it's Mason from Timeless. It was exciting, but it was all these hints where all that feeling of burden that you feel like that'll be gone once you see Wayne. Whatever he does,
Yeah.
he will take that feeling away, and it seems like afterwards he does. So there's obviously mystery there. We also get a sense that this girl Christine, that Tom goes and talks to, he brings her sweets,
Gummy worms.
gummy worms, yeah, and he jokes with her about some stupid TV show, some sort of reality program, and just generally flirts. And after the congressman leaves, he's like, no, someone else is going to take him away. You need to speak to Wayne. Wayne's going to come and see you later. And sure enough, Wayne does. And
Yeah, I think it's notable to see Tom's reaction. It's like he's never had this, because obviously it seems Wayne's very exclusive. I mean, it's a congressman this time, and they mention it's always influential people that get to come and visit. It's a big deal to speak to him one-on-one.
Yeah, and he's nervous. He's clearly worried because he keeps asking, "What's it about? Is there something wrong?" He's really worried. And the way Wayne acts with him when he comes in, it's middle of the night. He sort of wakes him up and comes in, and he starts waving about a knife, which clearly not intimidating. But he's like, "Oh, we need to talk about Christine," and he's like, "Who is Christine?" He's like, "Yeah, you flirt with her every time, and you bring her back stuff. Like, you know who Christine is." And he's like, oh, she's really important. She's going to be really important in the days to come, and you need to protect her. And it's like, and for a second, you might almost be thinking, oh, he's picking him because he knows he cares about her, and that's like, right. But then immediately he's like, keep your goddamn hands off her. Like,
Yeah.
immediately he's like, no, no, no. And you get this sense of like, I don't know what to make of Wayne. Like at first he's this mysterious guy who does things for people that, in some way, and it feels like there might be like, it's not a normal thing. Like there's some sort of, I don't want to say mystical, but
Seemingly mystical.
yeah. But then he comes in and he feels like this jealous cult leader who's like
Yeah,
threatening
he's surrounded by his women.
What one of the small details that I do remember about the show is he's got a thing for Asian ladies, and I was noticing in the scene at the pool that all the other people who were near the pool were all Asian ladies.
Yeah,
like it wasn't
I
just
noticed that
Christine.
as well.
And I never noticed that the first time because you find that out later, and it's not a spoiler, obviously. It's just
Because you can see them all there,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I just noticed it this time. Like, oh yeah, like every single woman here is Asian. What the hell? He's recruited very specifically. But no, he's like, and he talks about this dream he had where he spoke to his son, and you assume his son was someone who vanished on a day. That's the implication at this point, I would say. And how about, after 3 years, something's going to happen, something's coming. And it sets that up, And I really, really like this scene after this where you can, like Tom goes swimming in the pool. And you just see him in the pool screaming underwater because he can't let anyone hear him. Like if he screams outside, people will know.
It's a fantastic moment. It happens right as the music's swelling up as well.
Yeah. So obviously you can't hear it either, like it's underwater. You
Yeah.
And you just hear the music, and he's letting out his frustration, his rage, because he clearly has feelings for Christine, and he feels like he's being, bossed
Robbed
around.
of that almost. Yeah.
robbed.
Like, it's like he's essentially being ordered not to do something, which he doesn't see there's anything wrong with what he's doing.
Especially since we hear earlier on from him that he gave up college because he didn't see the point, and we get that quick flashback of some people committing suicide, jumping off the roof of his college, and you get a sense that he basically came to do this because he felt like he had purpose and he was going to get maybe happiness or whatever in life.
And this is it. He finally feels like maybe he's found something with Christine, but now that's being taken away from him. But this time it's being taken away from him by Wayne.
Yeah, so you can see his frustration in the scene. So I'm not going to claim that I completely understand everything that's going on as of yet. We have, the GR kind of very mysterious at this point. Wayne's very mysterious. But certainly I'm intrigued by everything. I think back when the show first aired, and I still kind of feel this way about the start of the show, is that I think it's very well put together. I think the music's very great. Obviously, we talked about that. I think the acting's typically very good. There's a lot of very intriguing elements to it, but it is maybe a little bit heavy-handed with the symbolism.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I remember that being maybe a complaint I had over the first few episodes. But at the same time, I came back and I enjoyed watching it again, and I'm looking forward to finding out more and seeing where the characters go.
I have a question. Obviously, you've matured a few years since you've watched it, and
I'm
you've
old.
watched it. Yeah, obviously.
It's only been 3 years, admittedly.
Yeah, exactly. 3 years. But, things, your mind changes a lot in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you enjoyed this more this time, just from memory?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
think I was watching it a little bit differently now, because I think before I was just watching it going, right, what's this going to be like? With a bit unknown, and I wanted to be entertained, whereas now I'm looking at, what's it saying? How's it managing that?
I think the way we watch stuff and the way we talk about them kind of affects how we view some things.
Yeah, I think that's kind of changed again. In the last few years, we've kind of really delved into that stuff.
Yeah, and I think watching it, I'm reading into the symbolism, I'm looking for character motivations, why are things connected to that. One thing I really liked, actually, and again, this is more of a second viewing thing because you know that it's his wife, but it cuts from him staring in the mirror in the bathroom to her, at the GR.
It also cuts from her to the first time we see Jill.
Yeah, it does this neat thing where they all kind of link in the edit, but you don't really notice it the first time. But it's actually kind of subtly telling you that all these people are connected.
Yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah, so no, it's really good stuff. So yeah, I am looking forward to experiencing the whole of The Leftovers over the next few months. So we are going to do 2 episodes a week. We have One midweek typically, one at the end of the week, and that'll be the case going forward. Obviously, if you're on Patreon, you get these a week early, so you're actually, if you're watching this on Patreon, you're a week before anyone else has seen anything of this. But that's it. And the dollar tier on Patreon, if you want to support us, go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can have a look at that and get these a week early. But otherwise, guys, you can help out the channel by liking, subscribing, letting us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Obviously, for people who are watching along for the first time, try and keep the comments spoiler-free, so that people who do want to watch the show along with us can sort of enjoy the conversation. But no, that is us. So thank you very much. Get us on Twitter at @mailed_fuzz for channel updates. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching.